God loves you. So I kind of started this out by walking on these things I've got here called greenways. They're nice paved areas that might go for as short as a half a mile, 3/4 of a mile, or as long as 10 or 12 miles. And they've got them all over the place around here. I understand they've got them throughout the state of Tennessee. But obviously on this one, I hadn't been this way before. And I'm sitting at a gazebo, kind of sitting down, taking a quick rest. I thought I'd go ahead and give you another story. Obviously, I'm wearing the same thing I was last time. But this one is also about my having been over in the United Kingdom, specifically in England. My second trip there, this time, second trip, not... By the way, if you do your fingers together, like that, it's okay to do the number 2 with the back of your hand, just not with your fingers spread. But that's from the previous video. So, second time I went over there, I was not with a team. It was just me. I was performing. Again, I was there for, I don't know, a week, 10 days, maybe 2 weeks. I don't even remember. I had somebody that wanted me to go over and schedule these performances with me. And so I get to the airport, traveled into Gatwick. Oh, by the way, I meant to mention, this one has got this nice gazebo. And there's even like a restroom over here. And I've got townhouses and apartments right there. That'd be a nice place to be with immediate access. This is one of the longer ones, 10 or 12 miles. At any rate, so I'm in the UK and I fly into Gatwick Airport. But the first place I'm performing, again, it's a church, the first place. So it's about a 3 or 4 hour drive from the airport. Well, I'm not driving while I'm over there. Somebody came to pick me up, and we're going to be in the car for a while. So, as we're leaving the airport, I mentioned to my driver the issue I had the last time I was in England with the, sign language. And I told him, he said, yeah, that's unfortunate. But I said, can you tell me what all your dirty words are? Because I don't want to say any of them. And he kind of laughed, said, okay, I'll go ahead and tell you. And one of them was, he said, I know you see this in British TV, that people say bloody a lot. He said, don't say that. Don't use that term when you're here. He said, it's very profane. He said it's a word that people use when they're with family or with very close friends, but not in public. You don't do that. Of course, that was decades ago, so maybe things have changed since then. But so he tells me about some of the other terms. And while we're going, I know that I need to introduce each of the sketches that I'm doing. And so I asked him, because the first one I was going to do is called Late for the Prom. And I said, in the United States, we've got this thing at high schools. It's called a prom. Do you have proms over here? He said, no, we don't. I said, well, it's like a very formal dance. It's usually held for just seniors, sometimes juniors and seniors in high school. And the guys go out and rent tuxedos. They dress real nice. The girls go out and buy very expensive dresses. And he said, oh, you mean like a ball? He said, why don't you call it Late for the Ball? And I thought, well, yeah, but this is a very special event. It's important for them to know that this is an American cultural thing that, okay, maybe you don't have it here, but kind of set the picture for them. So we talked about a bunch of other stuff, obviously, on the way. We go to the church, and as I get introduced, and as I'm introducing my first sketch, I tell the audience there, look, I know that you don't have these over here in in England, but in the United States, we've got something in high school called a prom. It's a very nice dance. You might call it a ball, but it only happens once a year. I said the girls go out and buy a very expensive dress that they'll only wear once of their lifetime, and the guys go out and rent a tuxedo complete with bow ties and suspenders. And I got a nervous laughter that went through the audience. Once again, I don't know what I said, but I wasn't going to ask them then. I did a full program. Again, it was about 45 minutes, maybe an hour. At the end of the program, people are coming up to me, telling me how much they enjoyed the program. This one old man comes up to me and says, the first thing out of his mouth was, "We don't call these suspenders over here." I said, "Okay, what do you call them?" He said, "We call them braces." I said, "Okay, and suspenders would be?" He said, "Well, that would be what women use to hold together their naughty undergarments." So essentially what I told him was that we've got this big ball in high school that the boys all wear women's underclothing. So, of course, the congregation, church people, gasped at that. I corrected myself for the rest of my tour in England, but later at a different place, I wasn't staying in hotels or bed and breakfasts or, any of that kind of stuff. That would have been very expensive. So I was staying in people's homes, and I traveled at one point 2-3 hours to get to my next venue, and which was going to be the performance would be the next day, and they had me stay with a young family, and the mother/wife greets me. The husband was still out at work. No, he was home. He had just gotten home. And she tells me where my bedroom is, and she says, "Would you like tea?" And I thought, well, I'm not thirsty, but if I were, I wouldn't want tea. I didn't do tea at that point in my life. Water, soda, something like that, not coffee. Particularly as late as it was late in the afternoon, but close enough to bedtime. I didn't want any caffeine, so I said no, but thank you. I went up to my bedroom, unpacked, got things ready, did some reading, some studying of what I was going to do, where I was going, that kind of thing, getting caught up. About 2.5 hours later, I come downstairs, and I was thinking that they were going to, come and let me know that it was time to come upstairs, or come downstairs and have dinner, or as we say in the South, supper. They never did. So by now it's like 6:30, 7 o'clock, maybe even later. And I said, "Were you going to maybe have something to eat at some point this evening?" And she said, "Oh, well, yes, but I already asked you once, but you said you didn't want any." I said, "You asked me if I wanted tea, but you didn't say anything about food." She said, "Oh, but that's what we call it here. Tea." Well, I wasn't going to ask, and she didn't offer to get the food back out and find something for me to eat. So I went to bed hungry that night. Again, it's important to learn the customs and the idiosyncratic word meanings when you go to a different culture. This is what I discovered when I went to England, but it's not just foreign countries. It can be in your own country, in different places. More on that another time. Point is this: if you're in England and you find yourself being asked, "Would you like tea?" say yes. See you next time.